Yeah, it seemed like you had Dolores Cannon on there. I mean, Julia.
Julia. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry
Yeah.
about that.
Julia's been on my show a few times. She's been my victim. So,
Nice, nice. That
yeah.
that was a good one. That was a good one to get.
Yeah. Yeah. Julia's a lot of fun to have on the show. So
Okay.
it's good.
And I
Yeah.
liked your advice with the tarot cards, so that was nice. Uh,
Yeah. That's been a somewhat new thing I started doing just to play with it, and it really actually has taken off. So a lot of people seem to like the readings. So they're easy enough to do. I just set the recorder going, throw the cards down, put them
yeah,
back.
yeah, nice little easy videos.
Yeah, yeah, and they're kind of fun and they're insightful. And I'm finding the patterns with them, so that's been fun too. And some of the people following are also finding the patterns. Like there was a certain card that kept showing up. It was about releasing the old emotions or the old patterns,
Uh-huh.
and it would show up in uh, the spot of this is a hidden thing that you need to look at, and then the next week it would be in the this is the action step you need to take, and then the next week it would be in this is where you're at. So it's like it went from being
Hmm.
hidden to let's take action on it to this is where you're at now, you're actually working on it, to it being released. And it was kind of cool to watch that float through the readings over a couple of weeks. So yeah, it's been kind of fun to just follow the rhythm of what they do. So
All right.
yeah.
How did you get started with that?
with the with the card readings.
Yeah, the card readings. Hmm.
um Gosh, card readings were probably one of the first things that I started doing.
Oh,
So,
okay.
well, actually, that's not true. Dream analogy was the first thing I started doing. And then that kind of led me into meeting people that were working with like Doreen Virtue's cards and doing the oracle cards. So my first deck was Doreen Virtue's mermaid cards. I think that's what they're called. And so I played with those until they're practically worn out. And then gradually I started adding to the collection. So now I've got stacks of oracle cards. And I actually had a friend so these are the ones that I use for the videos.
Okay.
Um, and I had a friend that gifted these to me, and she's like, yeah, I didn't like them, and I can't put them down. I love them. So I'm like, well, they weren't supposed to be for you. No.
So,
So anyways, I have a lot of fun with those cards, and that's why I like to use those for the readings that I do online. So
so like the cards will resonate with certain people, like certain decks will gravitate.
yeah,
Really?
here's a fun little story. Speaking of things resonating,
That's interesting.
so a lot of people like to use pendulums,
Uh-huh.
and I could never get a pendulum to work for me to save my life. So I just never used it. I went to Sedona, and the whole time I'm like, I'm supposed to get a pendulum, and I'm thinking, why would I get a pendulum? They never work for me. I walk into one of the stores, and this little guy, I practically was just walked right to it like it was talking to me. And so I picked it up, and it was, it was maybe about $15 or so. So I went ahead and grabbed it. And I brought it back, and I was showing it to a friend. She goes, do you mind if I take that home and play with it? I said, sure. Let her take it home. You would think, I've never had an object talk to me like this one. I could feel it's upset with me when it went out the door with her. And I'm like,
Really?
that is the weirdest feeling. What the heck? And then I had to ask her, make sure you bring that back tomorrow. She had to bring it back to me. But this
Oh,
one has
wow.
always worked really well for me. So one of the other things that I've done is out of coat hangers, I made dowsing rods. And
Oh, yeah.
I just use the dowsing rods so I ask them to show me yes and no. And these work amazingly for me. They move real easy.
Mm-hmm.
So for Christmas, I thought, well, I'm going to get myself a nice set. So I got these for Christmas. And I'm sitting there, and I may have to hold them now because I've been working with them. I'm sitting there, I'm asking questions, and they're doing this. Nothing. I
Uh-huh.
was like, huh. So anyways, I was talking to actually Valerie, Valerie Camosi, and she was saying, take the two and put them together and let their energies merge and put them in the crystals. And so I did that, and they started working for me. So there definitely is an energy to things and a way that they work, and being aware of that and being tuned into that it can be pretty magical to be like, oh, wow, look at that. When they started working for me, I was like, all right, I get it. That energy needed to move over to the other set of dowsing rods. So they did. But so that's been that was this week that happened. And that was kind of a curious thing for me to have the dowsing rods need to merge that energy. But it makes sense. There's a lot of energy we put into these modalities and these
Right.
objects that we're using. So
It's kind of like they needed a recharge, a refresh, or to be charged up.
yeah, the new ones needed to have my energy charged into them, and so I was just sitting there holding them, playing with them, and just I said my clearing prayers over them, set them in with my crystals, welcome them home. So,
Nice. It's interesting because there's another person on YouTube, and she does the dowsing rods, and she'll ask questions, to the YouTube community or whatever community she's on, and like you could see her, if it's going like this or going like that, it's a yes
yeah,
or no, and
yeah.
so that's pretty cool that you do that too. So you're into quite a few different little things.
Yeah. Once I learned something, I kind of like going, what's next? What else? And so, yeah,
Absolutely. You kind of like me on the other side.
exactly. There we go.
Like, oh, how does that work? Oh, okay, I'll do
Hmm.
that now.
Yeah, I
So,
want to try that. That's even like the making the videos. It's its own little challenge. And, um,
oh
I
yeah.
actually, I actually challenged myself about a year and a half ago. I wanted to redo my kitchen, and I had somebody come in and quote me what a new kitchen would cost,
Mm.
and that was well beyond my budget. Um, Probably because when it was a departments, one of those big box stores that come in and they're going to skyrocket that price anyway. But I thought, I bet I could do this myself and just revamp everything. And I mean, I take everything on like that. So I was like, all right, I can do this, and I'm getting a vision. And I did it for a fraction of the price, and I refinished countertops and cabinets and put in a new
Oh,
sink and
really?
replaced all the appliances and put new knobs on everything and put backsplash on. And I was like, I think we're our own worst enemies. We get in our own way. It's like
Right, right.
to tell ourselves we can't do something. It's like, if I can do that, then we can do anything. You just set your mind to it, and you can just
Absolutely.
make things happen. So
So you did a full remodel of the kitchen, or you did just like certain things, just remodeling?
basically stripped down like the cabinets and refinished them. I did put in a new sink, and we put in new appliances. My oldest son helped me put in the microwave and the refrigerator, but everything else, I even wired in the dishwasher, and we haven't blown up yet. And I
Oh,
wired
wow.
in new light fixtures. So
No way. That's good. That's good.
yeah, so
Good.
so it's just one of those things that I've always done. It's like, okay, I want to do this, and how do I make it happen? So yeah, so I made it happen.
Absolutely. Yeah, if you put your mind to it, you can definitely make it happen. You just take it that one problem at a time, solve that problem, take that challenge, solve that challenge.
Yeah. And here's something that, if people are listening to this, this is one of the things I did going into the kitchen. Everything I was approaching, I would say, this is going to be easy. This is going to be easy. I'm just going to take it one little step at a time. It's going to be easy, and it's actually going to be fun. And I just keep telling myself that, and I actually did have fun. There was one thing I didn't do that with, and that was the kitchen sink. I never told myself the kitchen sink would be easy. We go to put it in, it's too big for the hole. We need to router out more space in the
Yep. Hmm.
countertop. Well, then that broke off a piece of tile. So then we had to figure out how to fix that. And then when I got underneath and tried to clamp the sink down and do the plumbing pieces and all of that, it was like to get my hand up in there, everything was a challenge with that sink. And I finally figured out I never said it was going to be easy to get that sink in there. And so I got up, kind of walked away from the project, took a breath, and came back. It's going to be easy, and
Hmm.
finished it up. Got the faucet in there, got everything put together. It's like, but it really showed me how much different my reality was when I wasn't taking the it's going to be easy approach. And it kind of presented more challenges. And so go through life. It's going to be easy. It's going to be easy. I wouldn't change it. It's been pretty exciting moving forward and
Oh
doing
yeah.
like going into QHHT, which, we both do that.
Mm-hmm.
And tell me about your adventure with QHHT.
It's
And
pretty
what
good.
kind of things do you do? I don't know enough about you.
Well, for me, for QHHT, it's I kind of took it to take care of my family. Um, I mean, mother-in-law, father-in-law, all of them have some kind of medical issues. My wife, my mother. So when I read Dolores Cannon's book, but what drove me to it was her information about Atlantis and Lemuria, the past life
Mm,
regression, ancient Egypt, and especially Atlantis. And I found a YouTube video where she was talking about Atlantis, and I was like, oh, okay, because I was doing research for a book that I'm creating, or like a story. And so I was wanting to get like this unique type of information, from
mm,
a totally, I guess you could say, like metaphysics or quantum level kind of thing, channeling, hypnosis, anything like Edgar Casey. Edgar Casey
yeah.
is a perfect example. And he was one of the first books that I read, and he has two books. And one of them was just like so much amazing information was in it. I'm like, huh, this is interesting. They're talking about stuff that no one really is talking about mainstream wise.
Yeah.
So when I read Dolores Cannon's book, and the guy was going to the Hall of Records, the library, under hypnosis, and he would see everything as a TV screen, like in front of him, and like a motion picture. And he was talking about how he can see everything from like the people that was there, what they were doing, the buildings, the vehicles, the transportation that they were using, the technology that they were using, the good and the bad, because there was
Yeah.
a bad part to Atlantis. And so I was like, wow, that's interesting. I couldn't put the book down. After that, I was hooked. I couldn't put the book down. I kept on reading it. And matter of fact, I'd even watch TV because it was like the book was more interesting because of all the different sessions, the hypnosis sessions. So after that, in her books later on, it talks about the healing. So, and I was like, okay, well, I was in the business to look for like some kind of business that dealt with healing part of it, but something that was
Mhm.
natural. I didn't want something that dealt with pills, chemicals, or powders, or anything like that. Like, I wanted something more natural and something that was unique. And I was like, well, wait a minute. Dolores Cannon's talking about how she's having these sessions, and like people are having these healings,
Yeah.
whether it's tumor, cancer, and so on. And like, so I'm like, okay. I was like, I put them both together. I'm like, it's almost like a win-win situation. You got one part that deals with the past knowledge, and you have access to all this knowledge, and then you have the other part where you helping individuals, and you're dealing with these healings as well.
Yeah.
So when I explore that, I was like, okay. So, but session wise, I've done a few people. Um, my wife was an example. She had a past life in New York, you know, and it kind of explains so much why she's so connected to New York and how she
Yeah.
wants to move back and she wants to live there. And I'm like, well, shoot, that's why. So,
Yeah. It helps explain stuff and can actually help relieve the anxiety around some of why do I feel like this, and why
mhm.
am I pulled to that? Yeah. Very powerful stuff. So I take
So
it you're not moving to New York then.
not anytime soon. Not any, she's a little upset, but I told her, all in due process, patience is a virtue kind of thing. And,
Yeah.
wait for certain things to take off. and so on. Right now, the job is, I'm in New Orleans. So right now the job is in New Orleans.
Mm.
So she's like, well, you can venture out and look up there and, you know, expand your clientele. I said, yeah, that's true. That's true. I will. I'll work on that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. She can manifest it.
absolutely.
Just tell her
Absolutely.
if she's going to manifest it to have her see you very happy in that manifestation. Just
Absolutely.
keep
Oh, she
seeing you
already,
happy. See you happy.
she already has a dream board, pictures, a collage,
Yeah.
everything put together, and it's in her room. So it's all decorated, all the things that she wants to do.
Yep.
So,
That's good. That's good.
so I call it the wish board, and she's like, "No, it's the dream board." So,
Well, either way. Yeah, putting it out there and creating a reality around it. So that's good.
hmm hmm
So in your sessions, are you finding people really connecting to that higher self and getting their answers to their deeper questions?
Yes, yes. You know, one one client, like she had these thoughts of like that she knew she had a child. She had the strong feeling that she had a child and that she didn't know how this happened. She didn't know um, why she felt this connection to a child,
Hmm.
and it blew my mind. And that's probably the other reason why I was like, you know, if I could do this full time all the
Yeah.
time, I was like, there's a lot of interesting stuff. I mean, the information that comes from it is nonstop.
Yeah. You can
So,
see why Dolores's books are so thick.
oh yes, absolutely. I even
Yeah.
showed my mom one of those books, and she goes, "God, you're gonna read that book, that whole thing?" And I was like, "Yeah, yeah."
You
So,
betcha.
hmm she, in her situation, she felt this connection with the child, and come to find out that she has a hybrid child, and that she's part of this experiment. She's part of this um, agreed upon experiment, and her child. Um, her eggs and all that was developed into another wound, another fetus, but it's her child and everything. So under hypnosis, um, she said that she will be connected with the child in 2 or 3 years. So,
You're
in two,
giving me chills.
yeah. So in 2 or 3 years, I'm going to text her like, so, just following
Right.
up, you know.
How's the baby?
Yes, yes,
So
and
this is something that's happening with her currently then. This is
yes,
like now
yes.
time. This isn't like a year ago or
No,
so
this is probably
she's in it.
like 6 months ago when she had her session and everything.
Hmm.
About 4 or 5 months ago. So, but that was answered, and I was like, wow. I mean, who would have thought that that explained her connectivity? You know.
Hmm.
Another thing that was interesting that we found answers for was that her father. This was a good one. She was close with her father at a young age. When they got older, um, they were in arguments and fighting as time got went on, and she was always in an argument with her father. And then the father leaves, and then the father comes back when she's older. Now she's an older lady. She's, you know, grown, moved out, moved on, and the father comes back into the picture, and they start up a business, and they started, you know, coming together. They started, you know, bonding again. And like 3 years later, it was so sad. 3 years later, he dies.
Mm.
And in this session, you know, in the interview process, she's like, I always wanted to know why, you know, we fought, we argued, and then he comes back to my life, and we get better, everything's good. And then it's like once when things start getting better and taking off, he dies. And in this session, it was explained that, and just like in Dolores Cannon's books, his contract was fulfilled. So he needed forgiveness. He needed love from you, and you forgave him, and the commitment was taken care of, and the contract was done. And so he had the
Yeah.
right, at that time, he had a right to leave. And medical wise, he died of cancer.
Yeah.
If I am mistaken.
And sometimes we don't realize that we might choose that exit point so that we don't screw up what we just fixed.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, I got the fix. Let's get out of here. So, but yeah, that's pretty cool too, to be able to get that closure and that clarity on what happened. And that I find a lot happens, when people are looking at the relationships. And, one of the things QHHT is really good at is when somebody writes on their list of questions, what is my contract or karma with this person or that person, and the spouse, the parents, the children, the whatever, and getting kind of a deeper connection with that, and
Mm-hmm.
and being able to understand why their story looks like it does, and why is it playing out that way? What are we learning? What are we gaining from this cycle we're in, or whatever it might be? And so that's one of the parts where I really like to help people get a little deeper with their questions, and be like, okay, what else do you want to know? Let's really dig deep and find the little pieces that might make the biggest differences, and
Absolutely.
yeah. So do you get a lot of people that go off planet?
Yes, that was a good one. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad you brought that one up, because that was one of my favorites. I would say it was more than off planet. It was off planet. And I think this happened when Maldek was destroyed. And if I am mistaken, I think that was 1,000,000 years ago. I might be wrong with the date. Someone's going to comment with the date.
Oh, maybe we'll beat them to it. Let's
when Maldek
Google that.
was destroyed. So we having a session and everything. And at first I thought she was just a creature on another planet, because she was talking about the leaves, the color of the leaves. They were like this blue, fluorescent, and on one side they were blue, and on the other side they were black, and they had this glow, this fluorescent color to them. And she described her skin like a tree frog, and it was blue and purple. And she said, I feel like my skin's a frog, like a tree frog and everything. And she's like, it's kind of like that matted tree frog feel. And I was like, okay. And she's like, it's purple and blue, and we're looking for minerals. We're looking for minerals and rocks, and we're looking for materials. I said, okay. And then she was describing her other colleagues, her other friends, and she's like, they're upset with me. They're not happy with me. And I was like, why? Because I'm outside this circle doing my own thing, and I don't want to be next to them. And I am looking for, what I need to look for in this area, and they can go to that area. So I'm like, okay, so here I'm thinking that this is just like, she's just a creature on another planet. And that was it. And come to find out that she has to leave. They have to go back to a spaceship. So I'm like, what? There's a spaceship? So
you're like, yes.
I was like, now we're talking. All right, now we're talking. So
as you move the microphone just a little closer.
Yeah, I was like, speak loud and clear. So she's talking about the spaceship, and now she's inside of it. So I'm like kind of interested in a way. And I'm like, so what do you see? Like, how does this work and everything? She's talking about the center console. Someone's in the middle of it. And she's like, it's connected multiple ways. Like, it's just not a physical ship. It's connected to you. And like the ship can feel what you want to do. And she's like, there's gadgets to the left, there's consoles to the right, and there's a person in the middle, like kind of like in a chair. And I was like, okay, all right. And she's like, we finished looking for these minerals and these materials. So, and I asked her, I'm like, so what is these materials for? Why are you looking for them? She's like, we need it for the planet that we live on, and we need to find certain resources and materials to save our planet. So I'm like, okay. And she goes, they go to the planet, and um, what else happens? So they're talking, and she pretty much, it gets kind of like dull and boring a little bit, and nothing was really happening. So I fast forward the scene, and next thing you know, she's like, there's rocks falling, there's rocks falling. I'm like, okay. Why is, where the rocks are coming from? She's like, from the atmosphere, they're coming down. And I'm like, okay.
Mm.
Why is the rocks coming down? And she's like, um, it's dark energy. It's dark energy falling down on us. I was like, oh, okay. And I'm like, what are you doing right now? I was like, describe what you're doing. She's like, I'm running. I'm trying to get away. And then she's like, I'm dead.
Oh.
Like that. I'm like,
it's over.
I'm smashed. I'm dead. I'm like, what? I was like,
the end.
I was like,
yeah,
we're just getting started. So
dang.
We talked about that, and pretty much what was happening was, it dealt with when the higher self came in. The higher self was saying that that was Maldek, and the planet was destroyed, and she lived on that planet, and it was destroyed by dark energy because of the evilness. I think there was 2 planets at war, if I ain't mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
Mars and Maldek, from what I understand, they were at war. And so it wound up destroying them and in that planet. And so I like early on, I read somewhere that Maldek was part of the that made up the rings of Saturn and so on, like all the astral fields, the meteorites and the rocks, and that's where all that debris came from. And the higher self said, no, all that material's gone. It's out there in space. You never see it again. I was like, oh, okay.
My question for you, do you resonate with the Palladian group?
I find it interesting. I find their channeling interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I resonate with them. I don't know. I think it's neat. I think it's pretty cool, their messages and the channeling. And from what I understand, our DNA is part of their DNA, and like they help create us. From what
Some of us, some, yeah.
From one of the things I was reading. So
yeah.
Why do you ask?
Oh, just as you're talking, I just keep getting these flashes of possible lifetime that you had as a Palladian. So I didn't know if maybe you were resonating with that, and that's why you're drawn to Atlantis and Lemuria and finding that stuff out, because that would be part of a draw to that.
Gotcha.
So maybe play with that a little.
I think their messages is interesting and pretty cool. So, but I'm not too sure. It would be interesting to explore one day. So, but if you're getting messages or missing something, that makes it interesting. So,
Okay, well, we're going to go there because they're not going to leave me alone. You got some stuff going on with the heart chakra that's bringing in some more expansion for you. So pay attention to when you get those little, what would you call them, like those little quirky moments where the heartbeat might get more rapid or something that draws you to the heart chakra.
Okay.
And that's when you've got your team around you that wants to communicate with you, and there's at least 3 of them. And I think that you already communicate with them mostly at night. You get some information. I don't know what your sleep pattern's like, but I would say that you probably kind of leave your body and take off and do a few journeys at night before you come back. So you might be waking up a little bit tired, going, "Man, I don't feel like I slept much last night." Probably because you didn't.
Right. I
So,
believe it.
so anyways, you do have a lot of energy coming in, more like activation download, like just getting your body acclimated to the vibrations that are coming in so that you can really open up to more communication around that and start trusting it when it comes in, because it's just like you were saying, nope, that's not the fragments of Maldek, and you're like, okay, yeah, trust that. Start trusting that. So those kind of
Gotcha.
communications will come in even stronger if you just open up and let it happen. So there you
Nice.
go.
Nice.
Yeah.
So with that being said, was that from channeling or is that just from sensing that information?
Um,
How did that work?
so channeling, I'd actually probably close my eyes and just when I channel, the voice will change a little bit.
Okay.
If you listen to the ones on the YouTube channel, you might notice that the way I speak is a little different. It's still my
Yes.
voice, but
Yes.
it's a little bit different. That's when the channels come in. I have my Octorian is I call him Daniel, and he's kind of my gatekeeper. And I have a main channel that comes in. It's an imperial woman. I don't really have a name for her because it's more of a vibration. And she comes in a lot, and I have a shaman healer that comes in a lot. And so those three are the ones that really work with me the most. But if somebody's asking a question and they don't have the answer, they just go find the one that does and they bring them in. So it's been an interesting experience. That started happening since Arkansas when we did our level 2 training.
Really? Really?
So yep. So that was something that I'd get messages like I did with you just now, where I could see it and had a knowing, and then I had a physical sensation with the chest. That's how I knew to go there. So that would be the empath, how you take things in empathically, and then I had a knowing of 3 beings standing by you. A picture in my head of those beings. One of them's taller than the other 2. He's got blonde hair. All of them in blue uniforms with gold outlines to it.
That's interesting. Like right now, or
Yeah, all 3 of them all 3 seem to be masculine energies to me, and that's more of a sense or feeling.
mm-hmm.
Um, and
No, I got chills.
yeah, they're all ready to work with you, and you should, because they're all standing behind you, or their energy is behind you. So the way that that might get confusing for people when you're communicating with these light beings or extraterrestrials, whatever you want to call them, they interact with us telepathically, and so they're just like I could remote view. So like if I didn't
Oh,
know what your
wow.
house looked like, and you said, Tracie, can you clear my house? I would just close my eyes and I would focus on your energy, and then I would take your energy and expand it out, and then I would tell you where I am in your house and describe it to you. And if I can describe it to you accurately, then I know that I'm tuned into you and your house. That's kind of what they do. They come in and they kind of remotely show themselves standing behind you, even though they're often either on their planet, in a ship, whatever, wherever they are.
Right.
I had one come in one time to give a message to a friend of mine, and I'm sitting at my desk and I'm saying, okay, who has the message? All of a sudden my arms got really long, and this is in my mind, this is I feel it. My arms are
Interesting.
really long, my fingers are really long, and you were just describing that ship earlier, and I was like, yeah, I remember that. I feel like I'm floating, and I'm sitting in my chair literally doing this. It's like if you put on a virtual headset and you're looking around going, oh yeah, I'm seeing space all around me, and I'm seeing this craft that I'm sitting in, and the craft was intuitive. So I would just use intention, and I'd move my hands certain ways, and it would direct the craft. I had actually, I have a friend that sent me a picture of this. If we can do screen share, I'll even share it with you guys.
Perfect.
Let me grab that picture up. Apparently we chatted a little bit since then. Okay. Do it that way. Okay, so this would be what that being looked like. So I had the long neck.
Oh, wow.
And I had very intelligent, very soft energy. So we can be very intimidated sometimes about how these guys look. And I just want to tell you, don't judge a book by its cover, because this was a very amazing being that could be frightening if, you stepped outside and you saw it standing there.
All right.
But it was just a very benevolent being, and it was there to give her a message to help her heal something. And meanwhile, it's trading bodies with me. So I'm in its body going, hey, this is kind of interesting. And I'm up in space floating in this little ship that was, it was made of energy, it wasn't, like I said, it was very intuitive, very, what's the word I want to, it wasn't a nuts and bolts kind of a thing. It was kind of more like this energy encased feeling to it. And it was a really great energy to have that exchange. So, she gets her message and I'm like, woo, that was fun, because they're all vibrating higher than we are.
Right.
As long as you're doing it right, you're getting the higher vibrational.
Right.
But one of the things that I've learned is that as I can raise my vibration up, so if people are wanting these kind of connections, this is one of the hints of how to get there. We have to move out of fear. If we fear them, they will not come around. And so we move up out of fear, we raise our vibration up out of fear, and we can go up this far and they can come down this far, kind of a thing, and then we can meet in the middle. And that seems to be true. And the more we start raising our vibration, the more my feeling is the more that I've raised my vibration, the more access I have to even more dimensions and energies and vibrations. And it's been really a cool ride. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
And more to come, I'm sure.
I'm hoping so. It'll be, a lot has happened in the last couple months, 6 months or so. So who knows what the next 6 months will bring.
Nice.
But yeah, so it'll be a fun ride. But yeah, so if that helps kind of give you an idea of, when I'm doing a reading, I'm kind of going off of how I'm feeling, the visions, the thoughts in my head. When I'm doing a channel, I actually just kind of go into a trance and I step aside and they come in and speak and use my voice, and I'm very present for that. So if they're saying something or doing something I don't want, which hasn't happened yet, I can easily just say done and you're out of here.
Wow.
And move them out. So
gotcha. Is it similar to hypnosis as well?
It would be very similar to when we take people into their higher conscious. And actually I have to say, I think it was my QHHT sessions that got me to this understanding of how to make that connection. Because when we go into our higher selves, it's not a lot different. We're taking our critical mind and our conscious self and saying, okay, I'm going to stand over here and let that higher part of me that knows things come in and give some answers. And that's kind of what happens when we bring in channels, these, light councils of light that are out there that are working with us. And so part of that message with that, though, is that they're also, one of my questions was, why do they care what happens to us here? And
right. That's a good question.
So here's one of my sessions that was exciting to me, because I asked that question a couple of years ago, and the answer I got was just through a meditation. But the answer I got was that they all are waiting for the galaxy. All the other beings in our galaxy are waiting for Earth to make its shift, and then our galaxy gets to make a shift. So we're like this last piece to a puzzle, and they're all just waiting, chomping at the bit for us to get this right so that we can all move to something else. And I didn't get to see what that something else would be, but, we just keep evolving and moving up. And so about 2 weeks ago, I had a client that came in, and I'm taking her through her QHHT, and she starts talking about how important it is for the Earth to make it through this shift. I said, so why is it important? And she says the same exact thing. They're all waiting for us. We have to make this shift. And then once we make that shift, everyone gets to go to something else. I'm like, oh my God, she has no idea how important that was. It's like, I needed to hear that. But it does make sense why, others other beings, other planets, other light beings, councils, whatever you want to call them, would start showing up for us and giving us this guidance.
It's trying to nudge us.
Yeah, move us out of this craziness that we've been in and start helping us be more humanitarian, more loving, more kind to each other. And how to evolve out of that and raise our vibrations so we can all get going to something even better.
Right.
So, yeah, so I'm kind of excited about what that means. There's a lot of talk about the 5D Earth, the new Earth. Dolores Cannon spoke a lot about the new Earth. And, one of her versions of that is we're not going anywhere. It's not like you're going to snap your finger and you're all of a sudden, poof, you're gone. You're in another reality. You're creating that reality right here. And I've had this talk with Julia several times about how we are creating that 5D experience right here. And it doesn't mean that the 3D experience is necessarily falling away. It's just not affecting you anymore. It's still out there. And you might be friends with somebody that's still in it. But when they come to see you, that stuff falls away because you're bringing their vibration up. And so you're still having a 5D experience. And I have to say, about 2 years ago, I quit my day job and started doing hypnosis and doing the readings full time. And knock on wood, I don't really experience the 3D world anymore. It's like
you disconnected from it.
Yeah, and you probably experience this too, where when like-minded people, when you get together with like-minded people, you have these conversations there's no way you could have out in the mainstream of the world, And so I felt like I had two realities. I would come home and I'd have my friends that were into this other reality, this woo-woo reality that I'm in. And I'd have those conversations. And then I'd go to work and I'd have the conversations about how's the weather? Oh, your car broke down. Oh, you got an ache and a pain. Oh, and the woe is me conversations. And I felt like I was like, okay, 8 hours a day I'm in 3D and then I can go back over and play in 5D. And now it's just like the people I talk to, if they do have an ache or pain, they're saying, how do I fix that? How do I heal that? What is it in me that I could shift or move to make this heal this thing that's going on? And it's not the focus on the problem. It's here's a problem. What's the answer? What's the solution? How do we move past that? And it's just a whole different reality, and it's wonderful. And pretty soon we won't even have those physical ailments anymore because our bodies will vibrate at a dimension or a vibration that illness won't even exist in it.
Right.
So that's our goal. Healthy, happy.
Another thing that was interesting in one of the books, it said that everybody has a different aspect or slice of the pie of the shift or the event. And I was just wondering, what were your thoughts of it? Like in that QHHT session, was anything talked about like what the event was or what it is, or kind of like from your point of view and everything? Because I asked, the reason why I asked that is because for the person that had the hybrid child, with the alien and everything, so she said that she's not ready for the child yet because the energy is not right. So I was like, ooh, okay. So this, here we go with the energy, the frequency, and so on. So I'm like, okay. She said in 2 or 3 years that she will be reunited with the child, and she will know exactly who this child is. So I'm like, okay. I was like, does this have to do with the event or the shift? And she's like, no one fully understands the event. I was like, okay.
I think we're in the event. Did she say anything about that? I think we're in it. No. This is the event. There's a lot of reports of, so somebody did a channel with, I think it's Fellows, Felos. It's, have you ever talked about the inner Earth civilizations?
That, when I was trying to have my session. That was one of my questions, but we never got
Yeah.
that far. So, in
So,
fact, my questions were lost.
oh no. Oops. No.
She's like, where's his questions at? Where are they?
Oh no. I weren't
So,
supposed to go there, I guess. But
yeah.
so just randomly, it turns up somebody shared that video with me. It's 2 years old.
Okay.
And he's talking about how the earth is bringing in. So this is one of the inner earth beings that's being channeled through this. I don't know who was doing the channel, and bringing up that there's these waves of energy. So we've got the solar flares, and we've got things going on that are obvious, scientifically proven things happening.
Yes.
But we have, with those things, we have these waves of energy that are coming through. That's why the last couple of years it's just been kind of like your upheaval of emotional stuff. And if something's going wrong, it's in your face, and you don't get to just dodge it or ignore it until it goes away, because it is not going to go away.
Mm-hmm.
You got to deal with it. And that's what these waves of energy are doing. They're helping people clear out their emotional closets, so to speak, so that they can raise that vibration. And this channeling, he talks about that. And like I said, it's 2 years old, and he says it's trying to get the humans ready for when the earth moves through the plasma ray. And I'm thinking, okay, yeah, that makes sense. So we keep getting these different waves. And if people are listening and they want to understand it more, like how it affects us on a physical level, Google symptoms of the shift or Ascension symptoms, and you'll find the symptoms that these waves will create. And so with this, it's talking about moving, the earth is moving into this plasma energy or plasma ray, and that's what we're trying to get ready for.
Gotcha.
Kid you not, I listened to that, and it's, again, 2-year-old article, and this was on January 5th. And then I went
like
to
this year, January 5th.
Yeah, I'm talking a couple of days ago, just a couple of days ago. And so I follow a few people on YouTube, and so I get this notification that I want to say it's Aluna Ash was the one that popped up. It pops up, and it says January 5th, 2019, entering the plasma ray. I'm like, what are the odds that video was given to me, and then here's somebody that I follow posting about that the very same day? So
I can relate to that twice.
Yeah. So they're always giving us something. If we pay attention, they're talking to us all over the place. Our angels, our guides, our council, whoever these beautiful light beings are that are benevolently trying to help us and give us ideas and thoughts and use our mind and telepathically sending us stuff. So pay attention when you get these thoughts. They might lead you somewhere. And so, yeah, and if I hadn't been paying attention, I might not have made that connection, because it was a couple hours later when that popped up, and I wasn't thinking about that video anymore. So I was like, hey, wait a minute. And I've been having a lot of that kind of stuff happen.
That's interesting. I can relate.
Yeah. So, yeah. Anyway, so that's kind of some of the fun stuff that's going on. And my thing that I'm doing now is when I went into a QHHT session, I want to say that was September, I went into mine, one of mine. I've done a couple of them now, but one of my messages was to follow the signs. Watch for the signs. They're everywhere. And so I just started being more aware. What's going on around me? Oh, what's this synchronicity and that synchronicity? Why am I feeling this way? And that's one of the things that's been happening too, is I'm picking up on energy, rather it's somebody in my house or a friend or something. And it's like, I pick up this energy. I kind of have a feeling of who I think it might be. And so I've just started messaging those people or checking in on the ones that I think it is, and just making sure they're okay. And there's been enough confirmation that that's accurate that I'll keep doing that. But if that's an experience someone's having, check in on those people, see if they're okay, or if maybe they need to talk, or maybe there's something going on that you need to know about. So, yeah.
So this is like the signs, like like you talk about like feelings, like if you have a feeling to call someone, that those kind of
Yeah.
signs. Okay.
Yep.
That's
Yeah.
interesting.
Just that little intuitive nudge. Follow it. You know, if you get this weird nudge to go to the grocery store, go
Right,
do it.
right.
What do you got to lose? You know,
Yeah, and
go find out.
I think that way of thinking can be expanded in so many avenues as well. You know,
Hmm.
opportunities, business opportunities, you know, thoughts and, you know, certain other ideas that will come over.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and also I want to just say 2019, I'm going to call it the year to ask for what you want. Just ask.
Nice. Nice.
Ask for it.
Nice.
So, yeah.
So you
So,
said you quit your job 5 days ago? Is that what?
no, I quit my job about 2 years ago.
2 years ago. Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, it was a leap of faith move. And, you know, it's had its moments, but for the most part, it's been really good. And um, lot of real positive things and much happier. And when you're
Oh,
happier,
absolutely.
you're sitting in that higher vibration. And yeah, so really enjoying doing the work. One of the things I've been doing, uh, gosh, the last maybe 2 months since the channeling has started, this has developed, and it's the Ascension sessions. And it just really kind of is like an Ascension accelerator, taking somebody, I go into a channel and then I take the client or I don't, the channel takes the client into a meditation or journey. And usually there's some healing and some clearing of energy, checking the aura. There's a new word that came to me, and it's reactionary field. I didn't know what that was. I had to ask the channel, what's a reactionary field? What are we
Okay.
working on?
I'm
And
all ears.
yeah, so they showed me, you know, we have the aura, and the aura usually, well, it might be out here, but you know, you have your energy body, the aura that's expands outside of you. And they were showing that about 2 inches in from that is a reactionary field. And that we have, the person I was working on, they had like this implant or energy that was going through the back of their shoulder, kind of looked like a boomerang, you know, it went like, or a coat hanger or something like that, you know,
Hmm.
and so they wanted to remove the energy because it was affecting the reactionary field. And I was like, I don't know what that is. And so we went in, so I call in the white light healers to come in, and if it is in the highest and best good, let's remove this energy off of her back. And so they were working on that. And
Oh, wow.
I ended up with a physical reaction. My neck got all blotchy. When I was done with that session, I had blotches all over my body. I was like, what did we do? but but obviously they were doing some clearing on me as well, and that was a new level of clearing that I wasn't aware we could do. So working with the reactionary field, when we removed that, it helped. What it was intended to do is to take out a part that was causing, instead of being in that peace and calm, here's some information, okay, let me absorb that and take it was, here's some information, there's the reaction. and
Hmm.
and that person was having a hard time holding back reactions, or maybe that would be the case. I don't want to speak out of term on that, but anyways, we were working with that part of the body, the reactionary field, where we're having reactions rather to something coming in or emotions going out. So yeah, anyway, that's the way they explained it to me, is that it was something to do in the auric field that creates our reactions energetically.
Okay. Was that under channeling or was that under?
That one was under an Ascension session, yeah. So that was different than the QHHT, but QHHT can get you there as well with those
Hmm.
kind of things. I mean, that kind of stuff can come up in those sessions as well. So yeah. So been kind of an adventure with sessions over here lately. It's
Yeah,
where
yeah.
are we gonna go? So
Yeah,
yeah.
you got multiple things going on. So, how about you? Any other type of UFO stories or sessions like that? Off-planet UFOs, anything?
Um,
Whether QHHT or channeling?
I had one of my favorite QHHT sessions was, I had a gal that came in, and she was walking on a beach, And then all of a sudden a ship came down. And then, of course, that got my attention. And I think we were supposed to go into a past life at that point, but instead the ship came down. I was like, okay, well, what's that about? So she gets on the ship, takes this whole journey with the ship. There was some things on the ship. The ship was taking her to these different places and showing her things, telling her she needed to move and go into this, giving her some really good, solid answers to her questions, which involved really big leaps of faith on her part. And anyways, when I bring her back, all of a sudden she's back on the beach, and then she has a grandfather that comes and gives her a message, and then I walk her back and bring her back into her body and that kind of thing. And I said, so what did you think of that when you got on the ship? And she's like, what do you mean? She goes, you walked me out on the beach, and then I met Grandpa, and then we came back. I'm like, how long do you think you were out? Oh, half hour, and she didn't remember any of that. So,
wow.
So I start playing it for her, and she goes, who's that talking? I said, that's you talking. She's like, no, that's not me talking. Anyways, it was this, but all the answers that she got, I was so excited for her to actually listen to that. And she took those leaps of faith. She made the move. She, it wasn't easy, but she made it happen. She did all these things that were on her her wish list that she wanted to do, and this channel that came through her was telling her, go do this, go move here. I think they had her move to LA or something, and
oh wow.
And like learn about the movie industry, get whatever knowledge she could, work on sets if she could, and she did all of that, and she got lots of knowledge and information from doing that. So yeah, it was cool to, that would, to me, I would be a little intimidated of what, pack up and go to LA. So, and if anyone listening doesn't know, I'm in Oregon. My clients are usually in Oregon. And so she was asked to move south to LA, and she loved it. She would love to go back there. And right now she's back up here, but that is one of her dreams, is to go back to LA.
Gotcha. So she used to do it, got the experience, and moved to Oregon.
Yeah, and she's been all over now. She's been to Boston, Chicago, doing all kinds of different things, but not in the film industry. I don't think. I don't follow. I don't get to talk to her that often, but yeah. So she did take those leaps, though, and she learned some really powerful things, made some great friends, and got to be on some sets and work with certain people, and yeah.
So, oh wow. Well,
so it was cool.
And that was her higher self telling her to move back to LA?
No, that was whatever. She was on the spaceship for that, so I can't say for certain it wasn't her higher self, but
okay.
It could have easily been a channel of one of the galactic races that she resonated with, or
okay.
So it could have been a galactic council that came to get her and took her for a ride. But
nice.
Yeah.
Hey, come with me. That's all.
Yeah, okay, we got her in that space. Let's go get her. So, yeah, but she seemed very knowledgeable of the ship, and the things that were in the ship and where she was. She kind of knew her way around, so it was pretty cool. She was not in unfamiliar territory. So.
Right. It's interesting how that works out. Like, oh yeah, I know where I'm at.
Yep.
I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, this feels like home. So definitely.
What about any healings, any stories about healings, anything like that? Karma, connected lives, anything like that?
I'm sure there are. You're asking me, and I'm like, ooh. I've definitely had. Yeah, there are, and it's kind of like collecting sand. It's like, oh, wait. So, yeah, there's definitely been healings. I've had my own healings.
Okay.
When I had my regression, my shoulder was hurting really bad, and so we asked, can you work on the shoulder? And I'm sitting there, they're making me move my shoulder all over the place like a little chicken wing and shake the energy up while they're working on it, and it never came back. It
Oh
left.
wow.
Um, so I've had healings done, and I know that I've had clients. I can't say that I haven't really worked with anybody with major illnesses, but I've had fibromyalgia disappear for one of my clients.
Oh wow.
Which that one's pretty big. And then I'm trying to think what else I've worked with ailments. Um, and here's what I've experienced with that is some of that can be very spontaneous if the person's like really ready for that to happen. But the SC is going to have you look at why it's there, and it's
Hmm.
like you get to learn, why is this pain here? Why is this ache here? Why is this disease here?
Right. The message.
And yeah, what's the message with it? And I've noticed that some people, they'll get that spontaneous relief and they'll walk out the door. You swear they went age backwards 10 years and they've walked out the door feeling so much better. And then they'll call me days later and be like, I still feel good. And it's great. And then you'll have the ones that come in and they hear what it is that it's about, and the SC will ask you to make changes. You can no longer do this, or you need to quit this habit or that habit, or start
Right.
doing this, take care of yourself in this way. And if they're not making those changes, they don't get to have relief of that symptom. But then once it clicks with them and they make those changes, then they get that shift. And so, that's one of the things that's really important when people come to a session, to know that they've got to be willing to work with the SC on what they're asking them to do in our physical world. If there's
Right.
a change that needs to happen, it's not like they're going to say, oh, you have a pain in your elbow, okay, boom, that's gone. Oh, you have cancer, okay, that's gone. No, there's going to be something you're going to have to probably do some work or make some changes to get
Apologize to
that
someone. Show love to
forgiveness, lots
someone.
of forgiveness. And you know what? I've had really huge shifts with people that do go into the forgiveness in their sessions. When they can move through that and let some certain things go, then it's like doors will open and they feel lighter. And if they were getting physical symptoms, the symptoms are gone. And I've heard those stories over and over and over again. If they've gone into forgiveness and they were able to move past that, then they can release a lot of other things. And sometimes we don't even know when we need to forgive someone. So these sessions are really good too for our subconscious to bring up, oh yeah, remember Uncle Joe when you were 7 and he ran over your cat? You need to forgive that. You're still holding on to it.
Absolutely.
It's a corny example, but it can go back to childhood, and a lot of times it really does. It goes, well,
Absolutely.
most of the time it does. It'll go into a childhood thing that we're hanging on to that has started to repeat a pattern in our lives because we won't let it, we haven't healed that. So I don't know if you're
Absolutely.
experiencing that, if you end up going into their childhood to help them release things, but that's been
Right.
that's a big journey to do with people too.
Right. No one has went into their childhood, but just mostly it's been like them connected to a past life at the moment, where they've
Mm-hmm.
done something in the past life and they're still connected to it. Um, or they forgiveness to someone, too much anger, too much grief, building up in them, making them sick.
Yeah.
So, but no, not for childhood, not yet, not yet. So,
Yeah. Well, still to come. No. We all have
absolutely,
some sort of
absolutely.
childhood thing we hang on to. And so, yeah.
My friend, I can't wait to give her a session because I know it's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. We'll have to come back and talk about that once that's done.
mhm,
So,
mhm.
yeah. But
Yeah,
yeah, there's lots of good sessions out there and a lot of changes that, the QHHT is really good for just going so deep and looking at things at those subconscious levels, those super conscious levels, and that's where the answers are.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yep. The answers and the knowledge. So much.
Yeah.
So much. For channeling, so you got started with that from a QHHT session, like you got the message that you needed to start doing this as well, the channeling, because I heard of someone that had a QHHT session, and that was one of the things that she was supposed to start doing was the channeling.
My first QHHT session I went into a lifetime as an oracle, and that one stuck with me pretty good, the oracle lifetime.
Oh,
Um,
that must have been interesting.
there was so much feeling involved with that, and the oracle was so sensitive to everything, to the civilization or the villagers that were there, that she would never leave her part of the palace. She would just stand by her crystal and remote view things, because
Okay.
to be close to them, she would pick up all of their pain and sorrows and stuff like that, and it would be so much to bear. So she stayed in her little palace. Um,
Was this Atlantis with the crystals, or was this somewhere else?
well, just recently, like within the week, I'm starting to think it was one of the inner Earth civilizations.
Oh, nice.
That was kind of revealed to me in a meditation that a friend of mine guided me through. I was like, oh, I'm at the Oracle lifetime, and I think I'm underground. So it was kind of an aha moment with inner Earth stuff that's been surfacing lately. But the Octurians, like I said, they were coming through giving messages and readings that I was doing for people. Um, I mean, I had Bigfoot come through as somebody's guide
There you
once, and
go.
I was like, hey, you guys are really cool. I like this energy. It was such a cool energy. And so I was having
So
stuff like that
the
show up.
Bigfoot energy was channeling through you. Is it
The Bigfoot energy was that what I was picking up more like a reading, like tuning into it, seeing it in my head, and
okay?
still me giving the message, but kind of getting the message through the Bigfoot. And so that was pretty cool. It was a female Bigfoot. Her fur was a little bit lighter. She was probably about 7 feet tall, and just a very, very nurturing, loving energy. I mean, like if you ran into this being, you'd probably want to hug it because it was just so motherly.
Wow.
And it was really, really a strong essence to that. And so that kind of stuff was happening in the office when I was doing readings. But when I went to the QHHT level 2, Kaya was doing his Octurian channels and
Uh-huh.
that. And
That was interesting. That was fun.
and that's when it happened. I was sitting there, and Celestia was bringing him through that session where he brought in the Octurian, and I looked at Julia and I go, "This room is really full." And she's like, "Yeah." I said, "No, I mean like it's really full. Like he brought in the whole army of Octurians in here."
Really? Wow.
It was just like, and all of a sudden I'm just feeling my body's twitching and doing all these things, all this energy that was hitting me when he was talking. I couldn't even tell you what he said. I went out of body, and they were doing something, and I was telling her, never mind me, I'm not going to be able to form a sentence or sit still in this chair. And she's just watching Kai. I'm like, so, but when I came home, um, I met up with one of my friends that I do a QHHT exchange thing with, and she's like, I did level 2, so we were going to do this exchange and do a little trade with that. As soon as I sat in that chair and tipped it back, here comes the Octurian, and I was like, oh. I mean, like I wasn't in control at that point, and he was bouncing off the walls and chattering and telling her all kinds of
Really?
things, and she's like, okay. She's trying to write down all the messages, um, and then he was bringing in uh, other energies, other council members. That's when when I got introduced to the Imperial one that comes in, and then all of a sudden, boom, it cuts off, or I hear, we got to go, and it was gone. And I'm like, okay, I'm back in my body. That was interesting. So then we gave it a few minutes and went back in to see, I went back into the chair to see what would happen. And we ended up with this fairy prince that came in.
Okay.
And yeah, we kind of had the same reaction, like, fairy prince, okay. Well,
Like like like
this is
fairy,
all new.
like
Like,
footprints, or like an
no, like
energy from.
the fairy world.
Okay.
One of the princes, like a royalty member, comes in. He called himself the fairy prince,
Oh, okay.
and he said they had to cut off communication because the ones that don't want us to have this connection were coming by, and they didn't want them to catch the channeling. I don't
Oh,
know what all that was, but apparently there's a group out there that doesn't want us to have these connections, and
I
so
heard. I heard.
I mean they just stopped it like that, and then the fairy came in to tell us what happened. About that
Oh,
time, this
wow. That's
bird,
interesting.
well, it got even more interesting
I'm
because
all
then this
ears.
bird hits this window at her house. It just smacked into the window, and I'm in this channel, so I'm sitting here like this, and I'm hearing it. I'm very aware that that's going on, but I'm kind of in this trance state.
Uh-huh.
And the little fairy says, "What happened?" And she goes, "Just give me a minute." A little bird hit the window, and it hit hard. And um, and so the fairy says, "Don't worry, it'll be okay." And then in my head, it's saying, "Go over, pick up the bird, hold it in your hands. It's going to be okay." Like, okay, boom, I'm back in my body. Okay, so I get up, I walk over there. I'm kind of feeling a little lightheaded after doing all that, and she like had scooted the bird over, and in her mind, it broke its neck. It's gone. She didn't want to
Oh.
have to watch that. And I said, "Do you care if I pick it up?" She's like, "Go for it." So I scooped the little guy up. I'm holding him in my hand like this. I'm just petting him. I said, "You're going to be okay." And it just sat there and it stared at me. I mean, it just literally stared me right in the eye. And she's like, "This is really weird. What's going on?" I said, "I don't know." And so I'm just sitting there talking to it and holding it. And she's like, "It's something. This is just a weird experience. It's not twitching. It's not shaking. It's not trying to get away. It's not squawking. It's not trying to bite you. It's just sitting there." And I said, "I know." And so we're both kind of looking at it. I said, "I wonder if anything's broken." And I went to go touch it to turn it over to make sure there wasn't any like blood or anything going on. As soon as my hand started going near it, it took off.
Mm.
It was fine, and it hit that window hard. And we were both sitting there going, "That was weird how it was just staring." I mean, like looking right at me, right in the eye the whole time. I'm just, "You're going to be okay." And it just flew
Wow.
off. So that was its own little interesting experience. But yeah, that was the first channel that came through that and I've done not automatic writing, channeled writing. I've done it where I'll sit down and type something out, but I've never had it where they've actually used my voice.
Okay.
So it's not, I'm not a total stranger to it, but I was
Right.
for it coming through that way.
Okay.
So yeah.
Did what kind of messages when you did the channel? You said somebody was writing down the messages. Was anything stuck out? Anything good? Or
We were talking about, it was not easy for me to get to Arkansas to do that class.
okay.
And so one of the questions was, why was it so hard for me to get there? And they said, well, we had to get around the ones that didn't want you there. Well,
Ooh.
because I was going to get activated apparently. And at one point on the last night that I was there, I ended up with this lump. And actually it was right down here on the rib cage. I woke up and there was this lump there, and I'm like, what the heck is that? And so we were trying to figure out if it was a bug bite or what it was. And so she asked, what was that about? What was the lump? And they said, well, she asked us for it. And I was like, I did? So, but at that last night where we sat around the campfire,
Uh-huh.
there was a lot of energy that night, and I'm sure you were at that, right?
No, I
Oh,
made some plans, and I messed up on that one. So
there was a lot of energy in that circle.
I made the wrong plans. So
Oh, well, there is no wrong plans. Things happen in the right time. Anyways, there was a lot of energy going on there, and I rode there with Kaya and Julia, and so on the ride back, I said, it's too bad there isn't a way for them to make it easier for us to acclimate to all this energy that they keep sending. And then that night I got that bump. And
Oh.
so they said, well, you asked for it. You wanted to acclimate to the energy quicker. And so she asked more questions about that. And
what was the did they say what the bump was for? Was it like
yeah,
besides
well, we asked, we said, well, what is the bump? Is it an implant or what? And they said, no, it's like a booster shot. And they said, here, we'll put our medic on it if it's bothering you. And in my mind, I could see like this little ET looking guy come over and put his little hands on the bump, and it was gone in like 2 days after that. So it was, yeah. And then there was, I don't know, it's probably a month ago or so, I was having a conversation about ET type of stuff, and all of a sudden that spot started to hurt. I was like, okay, what's that connection? Why did that just start to hurt? I mean, it was brief. It came and went real quick, but it was an interesting thing to have happen. I was like, oh, that spot. So I don't know. You know, there was a lot of strange things going on, a lot of synchronicities, a lot of stories to tell around just the Arkansas trip alone. But
absolutely.
Yeah. So I say it changed my life. It's, you know, I came back doing a lot of things that I didn't go there doing. So
it sounded like it opened up a few opportunities as well.
Yeah. And hopefully even more opportunities will keep coming. It's been a fun ride, and this is the good stuff. This is the fun. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
I find it fun, and I find it exciting. So
yeah, and helping other people find this journey is absolutely, that's what we're here for. You know, to show other people. It doesn't have to be doom and gloom. It can be this really magical thing. And that's why you might see that I do hashtag the magic is real, because that was my message. I had a message the other day come in from supposedly my future self, but I'm not real clear on that. And I asked, what is the message? And the message was, the magic is real, keep on course. So that's my message to everybody. Magic is real. Get on that boat.
Keep on trucking. Keep on hitting it.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Was there any specific message from the channeling? Like anything specific, like mankind, or, you know, messages for you know, the collective, or anything like that, or was it more like, you know, messages for the group, that kind of stuff?
There's, you know, we can get answers for any of it. I think I shouldn't speak out of turn with that, but the main message for like humankind is to just be a good person.
All right. That's what I said.
The goal is to raise your vibration. So yeah, be kind, and
show kindness. Yes.
Let go of the fear-based stuff. You know, the jealousies, the anger, the frustrations, the whatever is your trigger, your worry. Worry is a big one. If we can get rid of worry and just stop worrying about things and let that go, all of it helps us to raise that vibration. And when you raise that vibration, then you have access to more of the good stuff. And that's why you hear a lot of the ones that say do the affirmations or law of attraction, focus on gratitude. Because when we're in gratitude, we're not worrying. You know, we're not focusing on the fear or what's not happening. We're focusing on the things we're grateful for. It raises that vibration. And the longer we can keep holding that vibration, then the more our reality around us is going to start reflecting that vibration. So that's really the key. You got to keep your mood up and try your best to stay focused on the things that are going right, so that you can keep that vibration up. And the more you can do that, then the universe can respond and start mirroring back to you that vibration. But every time we swoop back into what we know, you know, the worry, the fear, the horrible job, the this, the that, then and the universe has to show us that version. So we really are creating our own reality with it. Everything around us is a mirror. And yeah, we're looking at our goals and our dreams through these filters. And, you know, we got to remove those filters that are creating the fog and the disconnect, and let go of those attachments, let go of old belief systems. there's a lot of messages for humankind. we got
Go
a
on.
lot to work on, but we all were raised with belief systems and attachments and fear-based things, and we're going to have to overcome them and just throw out all the things we think we know and start over.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's I don't know if it was I think it was a YouTube video, but it said we are our greatest creator, like we are grand creators. So you have the ability to create. So create something, do something.
and when we can really grasp that, it's really, you can start seeing it. Some of it can instantly manifest, and when you start seeing that instant manifestation, it can get pretty exciting. So I encourage everyone to keep playing with it.
Absolutely.
What we're doing. Yeah. And the more of us that are doing it, the more it amplifies and the easier it gets. So we want everyone on board.
So what's your plans for 2019? What you plan on doing for 2019? More of the channeling, or just
I'm just going to be with the flow of what comes in.
Okay.
I have, QHHT session this week that I'm looking forward to doing. I have an Ascension channel, I think tomorrow. So it's however it comes in, and both of them are beautiful. Like the Ascension channel, that's going to be a 2-hour session approximately, where you go. The main focus with that is to create some healing really deep within the core.
Gotcha.
And then after you do that healing, depends on who the person is. Some of them get to go meet a galactic council that they're connected to, and it's like going home. And I mean, we're all crying in that room. It's like when you meet that place, go to that place that feels like home, and you connect on such a deep level. And that's what we're missing here, I think, in humanity, is we're not connecting on those deeper levels. And so in those sessions, a lot of people have gone to that deeper connection, and it's very emotional. But in the QHHT, we're going to go into, like like we were talking about, we're going to go into past lives, and we're going to do some healing work with that. We're going to go into that superconscious mind. We're going to ask a lot of questions. Those are so much deeper. And, we're talking a 2-hour session versus like a 6 to 8 hour session. So, you're going to get the deeper healing with the QHHT. You're going to go into a lot of, your questions. We're going to go in, and you can still have, if you want to meet that council, we can put that in your session, that could be something we ask the superconscious. Is it okay for them to go into meet a council that maybe they resonate with? Or is there any upgrades or downloads or activations that are available for this person at this time? And I ask that, and I make sure it's okay with the client, but that's one of the questions I like to put on their sheet. Is this person here for an upgrade or a download or an activation? And I don't think I've ever had a no. So there's always
for
something.
The Ascension channeling? Is that what that?
I do it in the QHHT sessions as well.
Okay.
I think it's really an important piece. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
So, yeah.
And both methods is one-on-one, like you're one-on-one with them? Okay.
Yeah. It's a very personal one-on-one. The Ascension ones I can do those online, like we're doing this video right now. I can do those. The QHHT, those have to be in person. So
right, of course. But the Ascension one, that's where you're channeling, correct? The Ascension one, and that way you could be online or
that one I can even do that on the phone. I've done it on the phone. I've done it through video and in person. So yeah, as long as we have a good connection, and I go through a whole spiel about the connection. So if the connection breaks, you pop out immediately, we reconnect. But with the QHHT, you're in a much deeper regression than you are with the Ascension. The Ascension is kind of more like a meditation, and you're pretty aware of, you know, if I stop talking to you, you're going to be aware of that, and you're going to be like, why did she stop talking? So you're going to open your eyes and see that our connection is broke.
That's interesting.
So the Ascension sessions, you're not going to be in the deep, you know, we take them pretty deep with the quantum healing. So
yes.
Yeah. So yeah, it is a different session completely, but you can get some of the same, like if you like the juicy juice of some of the stuff I talk about the Ascension, sure, we can add that into your QHHT. I can take you there in that session too. So we can do that. We can just make it part of your questions.
Okay.
So, yeah.
For the Ascension channel session, the client will be in a meditation state, so they'll probably have to lay down and be relaxed. Is that how that works? Okay.
It can. I've had them sitting in chairs too.
Okay. That's interesting. That's good to know.
It depends on the person, but usually they'll lay down. And I have to be able to hear you, and I have, you know, if we're doing a video, we got to have that set up to where I can see and hear, because a lot of people will take their phones and then they prop them in a pillow. Well, guess where the microphone is? It's in that pillow. I can't hear you. So I've had some, we've had to work through some quirks, but I'm looking at my time and I got to go.
Okay.
But this has been a lot of fun, and I think we should do more of those.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Before we let you go, how, if someone wants an Ascension session with you, how can they get in touch with you or QHHT?
If you go to traciemahan.com, and my name is spelled there on the little screen.
Yeah.
So traciemahan.com, and you can book online. So you can just click the schedule online and find a day and a time that works. And again, QHHT, you have to be in person. In person.
Right. Absolutely. So, and everything's on there for all your readings, everything that you do.
Yeah. And I'm going to ask you, Jason, how do people get a hold of you?
The best way is jasonballet.com.
Yeah.
That's the easiest way.
Perfect.
Absolutely.
So, and you're in New Orleans, I'm in Oregon. So there you go, guys. Come see us.
And if you ever come across any information with Atlantis, ancient Egypt, let me know.
Oh, the pyramids call.
Yes. The Sphinx. That's a good one.
Mm-hmm. For another time, right? We'll talk
pyramids.
I
Absolutely.
love it. Well, thank you so much for doing this with me.
Absolutely. Yeah, let's do this again.
It sounds good.
All right.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.